My Lords, I'll leave the very important legal aspects of this bill to the many outstanding lawyers who have already spoken. For my part, I would like to focus on much wider aspects of the current situation. Clearly, this is a very critical stage for the government's asylum policies, and by extension, for their even more important immigration policies. Indeed, net migration last year was roughly 20 times the number of people who crossed the Channel. My Lord, this bill sets up a complex system to remove asylum seekers to Rwanda as a deterrent to future Channel crossers. And yet, at the same time, the government are granting asylum to applicants from 6 Middle Eastern countries by a paper process without even an interview. Nearly all of them will have destroyed their documents, and of course, most will have crossed the Channel, so they will have come from a safe country. And young men, my lords, in those countries that I've mentioned, total about 23 million. It's ludicrous to be talking purely law, although right for this body, of course, but when policy itself is lost its way entirely. The numbers could get even worse, because the Migration Advisory Committee have recently suggested that asylum seekers, including those who cross the Channel illegally, should be allowed to work after 6 months in any job. That would surely undermine completely the effect of any bill that may be before us. My Lords, one's left with the suspicion that the government's own policy is to focus on asylum in order to distract attention from the much greater scale of immigration more generally. Well, as has been mentioned already, net migration in the last calendar year reached 745,000. That's an incredible number. It's by far the highest in our history, albeit with some special factors such as Hong Kong, Ukraine, and Afghanistan. So what are the possible consequences if we focus so much on asylum without any reflection on the immigration policy itself? My Lords, Migration Laws, of which I'm President, have done some work on the population impact of asylum and immigration taken together. We've made one projection based on net migration of 600,000 a year at current birth rates. The result was a population increase of about 20 million for the UK in the next 25 years. That would be roughly 15 cities the present size of Birmingham. Now, even at a much lower migration assumption of 350,000, which some other think tanks have suggested, the population increase would be about 9 million. 9 million. So we're looking here at policies that will have a massive effect on the future of our country. In either case, the implications for housing, health, and education would, of course, be huge. To take one example, the education sector, according to government statistics, British children could become a minority in state schools in England in about 20 years' time. My Lords, I think Lord Clark of Nottingham was the only speaker to mention public opinion. The wider point, surely, of this bill is that failure to achieve an effective legal structure to deter illegal immigration, combined with a failure to achieve a considerable reduction in legal migration, would lead to very serious consequences for the scale, the nature, and indeed, let it be said, for the continuing stability of our society.